What's going on, guys? Manny here with Yellow Tape DFS, here to give you my final look of Week 9 of the NFL. Alright, so what I'm going to start by doing is, like normal, I'm going to go over every position, one by one, starting with quarterback. But before I do so, I would like to thank everybody that comes out and joins the channel and watches these videos. If you could do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Leave a comment, your favorite play of the week, and let me know how you feel. All right. Hopefully, the end game result goal of this is to make sure that everyone's making some money. Now, starting at the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, this guy's in play every single week. It doesn't matter what team he's going against. I mean, even this guy got injured last year in his knee and came back on some miraculous type of event that made no sense. This guy's literally a machine. All right. Going against Carolina doesn't seem like a real big issue for any team for that matter, but Patrick Mahomes always in play. Now, Kyler Murray going against Miami, that guy's in play as well. They have currently the #1 ranked offense in the NFL, which is insane, according to ratings. Now, they're going against Miami. Now, both of these defenses are fairly good. Do I trust in Tua? Not necessarily, but, you know, Devontae Parker and company, all those guys are still there. The only person that's gone is Isaiah Ford. It's gone to New England. So let's take a look at this. On Murray's side, you're going to have your guys like Hopkins and even Chase Edmonds this week. I feel like that this is just going to be a decent game. The way I see it pan out, obviously Arizona takes the win. I'm just hoping that Miami can do something to make these game stacks with Murray more viable. Russell Wilson against Buffalo. Russell Wilson and Josh Allen. All right, both of these guys, I like both of them. I like stacking this game a lot. I think this game is going to have a lot of exposure from me personally, and I haven't gone over all my percentages just yet. But, you can run it back either way. You have Lockett, DK Metcalf, Diggs, Beasley, John Brown, even David Moore. All right, even going to the tight end with Greg Olsen, right? I like, or the gentleman that just went off at 4K, he took a $1,000 price bump, is DJ Dallas. Even that guy's in play. I like this game in general. This game is going to be insane. I hope it's a good and fun one to watch. Now, Deshaun Watson, Houston against Jacksonville. I guess it really depends on how you see this game script panning out. I know everyone's anticipating Houston being in the lead by far, and they're liking David Johnson this week. I, on the other hand, obviously I'm going to have shares of Watson because it's Watson, but I, on the other hand, want to see it to be a lot closer than everyone's expecting for multiple reasons. So Deshaun Watson, #1. Actually having the potential of playing Jake Luton, #2. And then moving up to other positions like your Robinson running back for Jacksonville and other players. DJ Chark Jr. would be a nice way to run with Luton. And, I want to be able to play this game more than the field, just to differentiate myself. Now, Lamar Jackson took a little bit of a price drop because he went against a tough game against Pittsburgh. Still didn't do terrible. It's just not his typical Lamar Jackson self. He did actually end up going for 16 rush attempts, though. So it's just the fumbles and interceptions that kind of cost them. All right, now I think going against Indy, you have a little bit of a chance to redeem yourself, especially for that price tag. Now Herbert going against the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. Herbert has shown week in and week out that he is just a performer. Look at this guy. I haven't seen a game under 250 yards. Ever. He's truly insane. Last 4 games, 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Give it up for this guy. Keenan Allen, your go-to receiver. This guy gets insane target share. We'll get back to that later, though. Stafford, with my first take video, my first look video, with this guy getting COVID, we thought potentially that Chase Daniels could be the starting quarterback for the Lions this week. But this guy is not ruled out just yet. So here's hoping on Stafford being able to play. Hopefully everything is good. But either way, I still have a liking for this game as well. And I don't mind stacking the quarterbacks on either side of this game. Obviously, I like stacking games. Big Ben against Dallas. You're definitely going to have low ownership if you go this route. I don't think that I'm personally going to get to it a lot. I will have a little bit of exposure to this game, and I'll get to that as we get further into other positions. Matt Ryan, I think, will be another one that's overlooked as far as player potential, and I'll go over some players for that matchup as well. Going further down, Daniel Jones. That's a shot in the dark. It's a couple lineups, maybe 2 to 3% exposure if you're playing 150 lineups. And then further down, like I said, Jake Luton and or Chase Daniels. But beyond that, I am going to go to running back. Now McCaffrey, back from IR. GPP play? Yeah, I'll throw him in. Cash, there's no way. Looking at Dalvin Cook, I mean, this guy just had a monster game. He came off of 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. Why would you not play Dalvin Cook against Detroit's terrible run defense, right? Henry, not really in love with him this week. I mean, he's going to get Chicago. He's definitely going to get his touches. He's going to get his volume. He's going to put points up. I'd just rather go somewhere else at that price point. Robinson, I love this guy. This is another reason why I hope the games stay close. I want this guy to stay in the game and run the ball. James Conner, if you expect this game to be exactly what it's going to be, then James Conner's in a pretty good spot. Will I get to him? I'll have some exposure. Definitely will. I'm not going to say that he's going to be 100% owned, or I don't think most people are 100% owned ever, but I'll have my fair share of exposure to him. Chase Edmonds, the same thing. Let's look at this guy's production, right? So you've had 21.5 fantasy points when they went against Seattle, 20.2 against the Jets, and you've only had 3, 5, 3, 4 attempts here, targets 7, 2, 6, 6. So this is on a limited roll that you'll be able to put up this type of production. So now coming into this game with the full-on RB1 role, I expect your fantasy points to exceed that at that point. So this guy is in a great spot, especially fantasy-wise. Mike Davis, if McCaffrey's there, I don't want any. I have no interest in him. Ezekiel Elliott, I have no interest in him. However, if he does not play, I will have interest in a very min salary Tony Pollard, 4K. Now imagine this guy being your RB1 in a matchup against Pittsburgh, where you're having a backyard quarterback to come in and throw the ball, right? So it's gonna be a check down quarterback. You're gonna have Tony Pollard out there. You probably have some increased role with Dalton Schultz by another guy that has no chemistry with this offense yet. So I do expect that to be something to look forward to. Carson is out. Josh Jacobs, I think he's in a decent spot. I'll have some exposure to him. We will have to pay attention to whether he is or not indeed going to be playing the game. Todd Gurley, I do not have much interest in him this week. Edwards-Helaire, however, I do have interest in him. I feel like if you are going to stack this game, either side, obviously, like I said, Mahomes is in play, as well as probably Bridgewater, just for the purpose of game stacks once again. So if you're going to play the script of Kansas City running the ball, then I like running it back with like Robbie Anderson. But if you're playing the other way, McCaffrey is fine. Obviously, this guy's probably the best back in the game, so I don't have to tell you what to do from there if you're playing McCaffrey, Mahomes, and Tyreek Hill and or Travis Kelce. So beyond that, Gibson, I think, is in a fine spot. You can play him. The Giants, the last time he didn't have that great of a performance, but he does excel as a receiving back, which is where the Giants suffer. Giants are good against ground rushing, but as a receiving back, they don't do as well. Now, Montgomery, however, if you look at Tennessee's catching back performance versus, they do terrible against catching backs. So I actually absolutely have a good amount of shares of Montgomery. Everybody's going for David Johnson this week. Everybody's tooting this guy. And like I said, I want the game script to be different. And having Deshaun Watson as a running quarterback, which takes away from this guy's having a high ceiling, I'm not going to actually have exposure to him much at all. I would say 5 to 10% at max. All right, Melvin Gordon. Now, this guy could be huge in this matchup. All right, Atlanta's very bad against catching backs, number one. And number two, Philip Lindsay is questionable. So if Philip Lindsay misses this game, then I will definitely want to have a decent amount of exposure to Melvin Gordon. And at 5,300, I think that's a great price and value save. Same thing going back to Dallas, DJ Dallas, because once again, Chris Carson ruled out. Carlos Hyde ruled out. Now, Homer is not ruled out, but given this guy with a little bit of a decent performance, not as far as yardage goes, but as far as getting it in a crunch time in the red zone, I think they will start this guy again. Beyond that, Justin Jackson at 4,900. Let's take a look at his last game. 17 attempts, 5 targets, 17 points, $4,900. Sign me up. I like this, and running it back, if you're stacking the game, you have Waller and Carr or Ruggs or whoever you want to put in on the other side. Now, beyond that, like I said, it was Tony Pollard at 4K for me. Moving back over to wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is in play. Obviously, you're going against Miami. You're probably the best wide receiver in football. DK Metcalf, I have some exposure to him, although I am watching everyone toot this guy up as the one to go to, and I am in favor of Lockett this week, actually, and that is due to matchup coverage. All right, so if you look over here at Seattle and you look over here, Metcalf is going to be going against Tre'Davious White, which is going to be their best corner, where you have people like Tyler Lockett and David Moore that are in a much more favorable matchup, and we'll go back to that in a minute. David Moore is going to be one of the other value plays that we'll discuss later. Now, Stephon Diggs, he's in a great spot. Once again, I love this game. I'm going to be stacking this game immensely. Julio Jones, I mean, there's a very high probability that there's no Calvin Ridley this week, so I do have an inclination that there's going to be a larger target share volume for this guy, where he's always been a target share monster. I feel like it's going to get increased. He'll probably get 13, 14 targets in this game, over 100 yards. And whether or not he gets in the end zone is kind of the big question to make him a blowout play. But at 7,200, he's just going to have too much usage for me to pass on him. I'm going to have a good amount of exposure to him. Now, Tyreek Hill, obviously stacking that game, he's in. Same thing with Keenan Allen. If you're playing Herbert and Keenan Allen is the go-to guy, look at this guy's target share, 12, 13, 2, because, well, we know what happened in that game. 11, 19, 10, 8. Like, let's be serious. There's no way. The 2 is when he came out of that game. He got injured. All right, so this guy is the target share monster. Like I said, Ridley is probably not going to play, in my opinion. Hopefully for Atlanta's sake, he is able to play, but because of this, I do like Julio a lot more. Allen Robinson, he is in play. Tennessee is terrible against air yardage, and they're also bad against catching backs. Lockett, like I said, he's in play for me over Metcalf by far. Fuller, I do like Fuller. Thielen. Now, it all depends on how this game script plays out, or if you want to stack this game even more, because Cook obviously is great and viable against their terrible run defense, but I love Thielen's matchup. All right, Thielen's matchup here is also in a great spot, so I will have a ton of exposure to Thielen. A.J. Brown, if you're having to run that back from some Robinson or Montgomery, I have no problem. A.J. Brown has definitely proven himself over and over again to be a wide receiver 1 for the Titans, and there's nothing left for him to prove. I like A.J. Brown. Terry McLaurin against the Giants. I mean, they're going to have somebody score, and this guy's normally the one to do it. Week in and week out, he has his target share volume. He's definitely the go-to guy over there. Just off of usage alone, I would have Terry McLaurin shares. Robbie Anderson, like I said, running it back in the KC stack. I just think this guy has proven himself to be the wide receiver 1 over there, averaging 8 or more targets a game on average. So that guy, put me in. Put me in the game, coach. Moving along, Juju Jefferson, Marquise Brown, Corey Davis. Not really highly on these guys as much, just based off of matchup coverage. Now, when they're switching sides of the fields and stuff like that, there's not a problem. They can get some target shares, or they can hit on their target shares. Juju has increased his play for the last 2 weeks, though. Jefferson, obviously, he's a 1-2 punch between him and Thielen, but his target share is not enough for me to make it and his matchup isn't as good as Thielen's. Now, Claypool, however, his matchup is insane this week, so I do like Chase Claypool. He definitely gets his target share, definitely in there, and I have no problems with that. DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, not really. Brandon Cooks, he's in a great spot as well. And in this game, if they can keep it close, it'll keep his usage exactly where it needs to be, right around 8 targets a game. So I definitely want to have exposure to him, especially on the Watson stacks. Let's see. Beasley or John Brown to go with Diggs, and if you're pairing them with Josh Allen to have some stacks that way. Devontae Parker, I mean, this guy, he's their number one there, so I think he's going to go low owned. At this price point, I don't know how you don't have shares of him. There's no way that you just pass on him full-fledged. Moving down, Marvin Jones Jr., people like him a lot if Stafford is in. I don't like him either way this week. I know he's going to be the lead holder. His price went up. Obviously, Galladay's sitting. But if we did want to go somewhere in that game, I like Marvin Hall. Now, Marvin Hall's 3,800. Okay, he was 4 for 7 last game for 113 yards. If he would have made it in the end zone, that would have made it impeccable. But he did. He had a monster performance there. So his target share was increased. All right, so I want to keep that there. Let's see. I like Hardman also if you wanted to stack a cheap receiver with Mahomes. Jerry Jeudy. I have no issue with him on a run back if you're doing a Denver-Atlanta stack. Because T.Y. Hilton is out, it opens up for Marcus Johnson, who's been doing decent the last couple of games. Okay? He's going to get an increased role with target share because there's no T.Y. Hilton, which is your number one. Now, let's see. Beyond that, we do have Darnell Mooney. Now, this guy leads the team in air yards. As long as they connect, this guy is great. 3,900. His last game, 5 for 6 with a touchdown for 69 yards, 17.9 points at 3,500. If you can repeat that and maybe get another extra 31 yards, I mean, for 3,900, if you repeated that, it was great. But if you can hit that 100-yard bonus, it's insane at that point. So Mooney, Hall, Tate did not travel with the Giants. In case anybody's worried or trying to play a run-back cheap option with the Giants, do not go Tate. He did not travel with them. Now, beyond that, David Moore for Seattle. He's in a decent spot. His target share isn't that impeccable, okay? But once again, DK Metcalf is going to have the tougher coverage, even though he's kind of matchup-proof. But I do like David Moore as a punt. He's 3,100. He's a great GPP option at that price point. And beyond that, I think there are 2 guys that I can mention that are 3K flat, like Christian Blake. If Calvin Ridley happens to miss, I think his role will be increased every time Ridley misses. This guy comes in and does his thing. All right, so have your eye out for that, 3K flat. And over in Miami, because of the trade of Isaiah Ford, Jakeem Grant will step in. All right, now another 3K minimum punt play, great GPP option. I have no issue here. Let's go there. Tight ends. Travis Kelce, of course, great stack option for that game. Darren Waller, probably the best value play on the slate as far as price per dollar, point production. Waller's just great. Hawkinson, that's a dart throw if you'd like. Pass, let's see, Fant. Fant can be great against Atlanta. I don't have an issue playing him. 4,600, I might want to go elsewhere. Evan Ingram's in a great spot. The Giants were looking a lot better in that last game, going against a decent defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evan Ingram, he's in a smash spot at the moment, and I don't mind having a little bit of exposure to him. But he would just, technically, for me, he'd be a one-off, unless I did put that 5% Daniel Jones stack. All right. Then beyond that, Jonnu Smith is in a decent spot against Chicago. Don't mind running him. It's been a little lackluster the last couple weeks. But I do have interest in Dalton Schultz at 3,600. All right, he still gets target share. I know you're going to have random Joe come and be a quarterback, but for checkdowns between running backs and tight ends, they kind of get the bulk load of the work. Trey Burton could be in a decent spot here, going against Baltimore, middle of the pack. And, he is definitely one of their red zone threats. So I do like Trey Burton. And then Greg Olsen at 3,100. Now, because I love stacking this game and the chemistry that Russell Wilson has with his entire team, I think this would be a game where he could go off. And at 3,100, that's definitely saving you some value to open up to other big players on the slate. I don't mind 3,100 for Greg Olsen. Now moving along to defense. The Steelers, obviously, they're in play going against third-string quarterbacks. The Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott have looked atrocious. Beyond that, Washington, because you can never have 100% faith in the Giants to be productive. All right, so Washington's defense has actually been doing very well this season, and I don't mind running it here. Baltimore and Indy, I think that's going to be a tough game in general. I'm probably going to stay away from them, shy away. I know a lot of people are talking about the Texans here. I'm not too hip on that, but I like the Cardinals at 2,900. All right, now they're going against Miami. Now Miami's defense is decent. Their offense is with Tua, and I think their offense was better with Fitzpatrick personally, and that's just off of sheer numbers. All right, so I do have interest in going Arizona. Beyond that, everything else is pretty much plug and play because Arizona and then the Steelers and Washington, they're all still about a 3K or and above. So if I did do anything smaller, it's typically like get in where you fit into that. All right, now, if you guys haven't already done so, like I said, please like, subscribe if you're new. The other thing I am going to say is you can follow me on Twitter at YellowTapeDFS, and I will be giving out my Cash Core plays, my favorite 5 plays for cash, and that will be on Twitter about an hour before lock. All right, so make sure you follow me there. Until then, hope you guys get in the money, and let's make it. Stay blessed.